Good night, Belizeans. Mr. Chairman, we're live, sir.
Thank you very much, Leonard. It's always a
You're welcome.
pleasure to sit in your company once again. On
Pleasure is
our
mine, Mr. Chairman.
yes, welcome our viewers both at home and abroad. Those who will view us a little later, you know, glad to have your audience and glad for all those. We are happy for all those who share our program, Leonard. Share and make it known. So
Yes, sir.
we are thankful. And welcome to our Belizean Affairs show number 416. 416.
Climbing the
Um,
ladder, we're climbing the ladder.
we're surely being doing our patriotic duty, Leonard,
Yes, sir.
in terms of informing the people and about truth and standing up for our people. And we always advocate, Leonard, as yourself and I and Greg and Mr. Morrison. We advocate for our people. For the poor and less fortunate who does not have a voice, and for those who have a voice but is afraid for whatever reason to express their concern. So we are their voice, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And hopefully, Leonard, we will be joined by our next senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett. He has been under the weather, but hopefully he got over it and will brace us tonight. And also by Mr. Gregory Morrison. Mr. Morrison. If
Um,
he, yes,
a,
sir.
a quick statement. Um, he said if he got home, he might be able to.
Yes, sir.
But today is Monday, right? So what happened? Why I was interrupting you just now is because uh, in somewhere in my mind, I had the impression that maybe he would end up going to the other program that he goes on sometime. But that's
Oh,
on Thursday.
on
I
Thursday.
don't,
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
don't think that's
All
gonna.
right.
So sorry about interrupting you, but it just crossed my mind.
Yeah. And for clarity, Mr. Gregory Brackett is the Monday night chairman. So if whenever he taps in, we'll graciously hand over the program to him. So on that note, Leonard, there's a lot going on.
Yes, sir.
Always there's a lot going on. Joel, and around the world too. Leonard, but we are more concerned about what's going on in the nation of Belize.
Yes, sir.
That's
We got
where our navel string is at, buried. So we need to try and protect it, to the last bullet.
we got some big money to be spent in this year.
Yes, sir.
Not
Yes,
not
sir.
count, not counting the loans that we might end up borrowing,
Yes, sir.
or gifts that somebody else might end up giving us.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm talking about gifts, before I ask you to do the first. Talking about gifts, Leonard, you know that
Uh-huh.
we keep getting all the gifts. Belize is lucky,
Yes, sir.
the amount of donation, grants,
Thank God. Thank
gifts
God.
by some by Belizeans abroad and some by other outside entities, and mostly by the United States of America. Keep giving and giving and giving.
Well, we get a lot from the Taiwanese and the Japanese too, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, but yes, so true on that.
Yes, sir.
And then some I wonder why does now Mr. Johnny Briceño is caving in some of the things that is policy making and things that's going on in our country that is and will affect our Belizean people,
Mm-hmm.
um, due to pressure.
For sure.
So I have stated on that post here, say, what do you expect, if You keep begging and begging and begging and begging. At some point you will have to uh, uh, give account, right, Leonard? You have to chin up. You have to, show something, right? Something you got to show once you keep your hands out begging.
Gratitude comes in different size, in different size of coins. 1 cent,
So
2 cent, 5 cent, 10 cent. But sometimes
so
they come in a bills, in a big bills.
so true on that. And then if you refuse to answer the question they ask you, they will. When you
That's right.
push your hands out, they might cut it off, right? Never know. So that's what's going on in our nation. But then, in the interest of time, straight to our program. And as usual, we start our program with a prayer, then followed by a reading. Then I
Yes, sir.
ask you, Leonard, to lead us in a prayer, please.
Yes, I will, sir.
Thank
I'll
you.
just bow my head. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would continue to be merciful unto us, that thou would hear our supplications, that thou would answer our prayers, and that thou would be merciful upon our family members, friends, and loved ones, wherever they are, as if they were mentioned by name and number. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, to nurse our trials and tribulations and travails. We pray that thou mayest continue to have mercy upon those people who are in war zones, all those people who are in earthquake areas, tornado areas, storms, floodings, earthquakes, volcano, and all manner of pestilence on the face of this earth, Heavenly Father. For those people who have need of food and clothes and shelter, we pray that thou mayest be merciful unto them and provide for them as well. We pray that thou mayest bless our program tonight, that whatever we have to say or whatever we do may it accrue to thy divine purposes as well as to the well-being of our country of Belize, its people and leadership. Please bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership too. For bless his mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I yield
Thank
back, Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. And
You're welcome, sir.
on that, we ask for mercy for the innocents in war zones, Leonard,
Amen.
and we
Amen.
ask for a healing hand and touch the hearts of these wicked leaders around the world that is causing all these wars and causing all these manner of pestilence around the world.
Amen.
They're like termites. Just pray that the Almighty touch their heart so that they can turn from their wicked ways and do right by their people and nation.
Amen.
So, Leonard, I was sent a reading, Leonard, from for one of our supporters, and it's from Micah.
Micah.
Micah,
Micah. Uh-huh.
yeah, Micah.
It's a small book, very small
Small,
book, but
yes, yes,
very powerful. Very
and
powerful.
and it's they want to do chapter 3,
Okay.
and it reads, my people, it reads, and I said, hear, you heads of Jacob
Mm-hmm.
and rulers of the house of Israel. Is it not for you to know justice? You who hate the good and love the evil,
Mm-hmm.
who tear the skins from off my people, and tear their flesh from their bones,
Mm-hmm.
who eat the flesh of my people and flay their skin from off them, and break their bones in pieces, and chop them up like meat in a pot, like flesh in a quadra. Then they will cry to the Lord, but he will not answer them. He will hide his face from them at that time, because they have made their deeds evil.
Mm-hmm. Blaspheme.
Thus say the Lord concerning the prophets who lead my people astray, who cry peace when they have something to eat, but declare war against them who puts nothing into their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it shall be night to you without a vision, and darkness to you without divination. The sun shall go down on the prophets, and the day shall be like black over them. The seer shall be disgraced, and the diviners put to shame.
Mm-hmm.
They shall not cover their lips, for there is no answer from God. But as for me, I am filled with power, with the Spirit of the Lord, and with justice and might,
Amen.
to declare to Jacob his transgression, and to Israel his sin. Hear this, you heads of the house of Jacob, and rulers of the house of Israel, who detest justice, and make crooked all that is straight, who build Zion with blood, and Jerusalem with iniquity. Its head give judgment for a bribe. Its priests teach for a price.
Mm-hmm.
Its prophet practice divination for money. Yet
Mm-hmm.
they lean on the Lord and say, is not the Lord in the midst of us? No disaster shall come upon us. Therefore, because of you, Zion shall be plowed as a field. Jerusalem shall become a heap of ruins, and the mountain of the house of wooded height. That's my reading, Leonard. And I read that because,
Very small book, Mr. Chairman.
um,
Very, very small book, but very powerful.
yes, um,
And it applies to what we might end up talking about tonight because I presume you might, or I believe that you might want to touch some of the things that happen in terms of the budget presentations and on some of the arguments back and forward. And you can see that for whatever the reality is that that particular scripture was written for thousands of years ago to other people. And those people were supposed to have been, you know, Jacob and the people of God and the priests them and all of them that that particular prophecy from Micah was stipulating about or writing about. Even the leaders of the church and the leaders of Zion, the leader of the country, they were all being, exposed to behavior contemptible of the people and of God and blaspheming against God. So I presume as we go on with tonight's program, I'll have a chance to articulate or verbalize some of what I'm trying to refer to. Within the context of the scripture reading, I'll be able to maybe have a better chance at whipping out one of the piece of sashkar like what Jesus may use. No, because I think that sashkar may use or a piece of peel, piece of
yeah,
But then when I say sashkar, it make I remember Miss Hornby,
it's
one of our
remember the
principal at
school
Wesley
days.
School.
Remember school days. That's exactly what
So then big
was
have grown boy we think that they're a big man. They
come to their
send them to
knees.
she.
Come to their knees.
Put them on.
Yes,
She put them for kneel down and she lean over there. And when she touched them in the middle of them two Christian men with us a start. Wasn't funny. But anyhow,
very.
only we Creole people who believe that we could enjoy that little joke there with
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
you
sir. That's
way
very
back,
good.
Mr. Chairman.
And I watched over the couple of years, and over the years I watched when this is just my observation, Rudy Wade.
This
See, when Israel and his neighbors start fighting and they killing up each other for whatever reason in whatever name, back and forth, killing. You hear, I watched that there's a group of people, and publicly, they have a right to. I mean, to each is their own. They say, well, you must have sympathy for Israel, because Israel is the holy land and they are holy people, and a whole bunch of stuff. Their own view as Israel do no wrong, and very few people when they talk about the
that's what
massacre that Israel is doing.
that's what you
Um,
just read. Just what you just read just now in Micah. So
it,
that's what you're
see,
reading in Micah. That's why the
okay,
good Lord was
yes,
rebuking them.
yes.
You know,
So
you cannot blaspheme in God's name. You
yes,
cannot. Anyhow, I'm sorry.
yes,
Please.
so true, so true, Leonard. But you understand what I'm saying? That how some people like sees that Israel are holy people, and what other their surrounding neighbors are doing to Israel is so wrong, and oh, they killing up the Israelis and this and that and that, and you never hear a mention about the innocent lives, children, civilians that get thousands of them that get killed for no
Tens,
reason, none
tens
at
of
all,
tens of
right?
thousands, sir.
But I just trying to show you
No,
how people have um a for me, I think it's not the right frame of mind in terms of humanity, right? And in terms of love your neighbors, right? Um, some ethnic groups, some countries thinks that they do nothing wrong and their country are God, and people must look up to them because of whatever their religions and all the things that goes on, right? And biblical teachings and all that. But for me, Leonard, I think that if you're wrong, you're wrong, no matter what religion you are or what God you serve or whoever. A wrong is a wrong, and then you should never take it out of innocent people.
mm-hmm.
For me, I think that all these leaders who are killing up each other's Leonard, they should, meet at one spot, and each one of them should have a bomb in their hands
Disappear each
and
other,
and,
right?
and
And leave
disappear
us
each other
alone.
and leave
Leave us
humanity
alone.
alone. That's how I feel. It might sound stupid, but that's what I would like to see
Instead,
done.
instead, Mr. Chairman, they run and they go hiding and then bunker well and they send us out. They go do the war. They go, take free kids and free family
Yes,
members as gun fodder.
yes, So, but anyway, that's the outside world, and there's a lot going on, Leonard, in little country of Belize. We are still blessed. You know,
Yes, sir.
um, we are still a country of we are law abiding. Um, most Belizeans were tranquil and not quick to pick up arms and kill each other like mass killing, like what is happening around us. You know, some Belizeans have that mindset, but probably not don't have the guts or the fortitude or what to carry out whatever mindset they have. Maybe they think about it, but in other countries, as we see, Leonard, that it's like a norm for them.
Standardized practice.
Yes. So that's why I say that Belize is still a blessed country, Leonard.
You know,
Yes, sir. And but you watch our leaders, Leonard. How they congregate to every time in our house and Parliament, and how they negotiate how to squander the taxpayers' money, or negotiate how to make laws and burden the the nation, and burden especially the poor and less fortunate who have um, little power. You know, it's a repetitious cycle. Um, should they be doing that? No, because I think that you get elected to, to serve the people. That is exactly what you should do. Serve
Mm.
the people, right? Not do the things that I had just mentioned. You know, if you're going to make laws for the people, make it for the nation, where everyone
Comes under the same.
come under the same. Yes, sir. Right. But you don't see that happen, Leonard. The rich and famous and the high powerful and the politician could walk up to somebody and put a gun and blow his brains out. Willful, for me, it's willful murder.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to court and they get away scot free. And then you see the little man, Leonard, you go to the store and steal a pack of bread, steal something to feed their family. And you see how the judge and the magistrate quickly whopped that person, and the police whopped him and
Mm-hmm.
onto court, and then you're onto jail.
Mm-hmm.
See, we see it happen, Leonard. It's I'm not talking, you
And they go
know,
to jail and they cost the society more to keep them in jail than the food that they
yeah.
were trying to get in the first place.
So the healthy, the rich and famous, and the healthy, and the politician and well connected, they do all manner of crimes, and yet they're out in John public, and some of them are put on pedestal. There are some people gods,
Mm-hmm.
for what they, just shot somebody because that person climbed over his fence, and maybe for whatever reason, but he shut up that person, and without asking no question. I'm talking things that had happened, especially in the north there.
Mm-hmm.
This politician, this little wino guy or whatever, wanted to steal something, and he jumped over this politician fence, and he shot him up right there, and while he was escaping too, shoot him in the back and all that stuff, and but nothing happened to him. Nothing happened.
Over
But then,
material stuff
yes, sir.
that they
All
take
right.
from the public in the first
Yes, sir.
place.
All right. So, these are the grave injustice that even mentioned in the Bible too, Leonard. The Bible mentioned about this grave injustice, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and these people do commit these crimes, and they ride off in the sunset like nothing happened, and they're a big public figure. Leonard, they are public figure,
Untouchables, huh?
right? Um, So, more power to them until they meet their maker, because for sure they will. They will, not maybe or shall or may not. No, they will meet their maker, right? And I hope they can answer for all the crimes that they have committed, and answer for all the good things that some of them, Leonard, had done, right?
Yes, sir.
So you watching the house again, another rumble in there, Leonard.
The budget, the budget.
Trying how to manage who gets what and what of the taxpayers' money, right? The
Mm-hmm.
money that for the country, they are fighting how this little portion there, that little portion there, and then this is what you do with your little portion, and this and that and that, and then at the end of the day, from the time of memorial, Leonard, they have nothing to show for it, but the money is gone. And wait for the next cycle to come, and they go on again and do the same thing, quarrel on each other. The two-party system, they don't like, the next one don't like how much money this one, and then when they're in power, they don't like, well, so it's you know, it's sad to see how these guys,
6 or one and a
pos-
half a dozen of the other, like
yes,
this
sir,
one, one and the
yes,
same.
sir. And it's public. It's public display for the people and the world to see how they behave.
So,
It's not like the UDP bring so much millions and set it in the house and said this is the UDP money and this is going for health and that's going for for education and this is going for all the other departments and things and this is my money, right? and
mhm.
and you don't see that happen. The same thing, the PUP, they don't bring their money that they whatever how they get it right and say I'm going to control this amount of money because it's the PUP money. No, it's all the people's money they go and fuss over. Right?
Well,
I laugh because I mean it sounds funny, but it is what it is, right? And then the poor people, they don't have no idea, Leonard, what where they catch them, right? They don't have no idea where they catch them, right? They say, well, like what, so much million for health, and we're gonna improve the healthcare, and we're gonna build a $91 million treasury hospital, and don't worry, everything is gonna be fine, and the best healthcare system ever, and look at NHI, and then thing, and they say all the nice things that people want to hear, and at the end of the day, in reality, you go to one of the public hospitals, and yeah, you have some Cuban doctors there, and you have some, Belizean employees there, and stuff to provide the service is what the government gives them to play around with. But if you go to any one of our outlets that provide healthcare, public,
mhm.
there's nothing there, Leonard. Nothing. When I say nothing, I mean like a good a good health care, right? Because either if
Then,
you
I-
don't
then,
see
I-
a
then, I-
doctor,
Mr.
Leonard, there's no
Chairman,
medication.
then I got aspirin to give the people, then I got on gas to give the people, then I got on create for put on
Yes,
the boom.
yes.
I mean, basic, simple stuff for cost a few pennies a piece.
But yet you hear them like right there in the house, Leonard, the amount of money, right? And it's not the first budget, Leonard. You and I know it. It's not the first budget, and it's not the first budget for healthcare. So, Leonard, compare all these budget, all this money that budgeted for the healthcare. You don't think that 2026, the people and nation would be in a
But
better off position?
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Pass it, pass it over to you because this is things
Thank you
that
very
that,
much,
that
sir.
you know.
Um, in regards to the overall budget, the Prime Minister is boasting that that's the biggest and best budget ever presented. Some of the other ministers are claiming that the Prime Minister is so good at dealing with his numbers. It's 1.9 something, something, almost $2 billion budgeted, almost $2 billion budgeted. Now imagine when they don't spend a budget and then come for supplemental, as often as they have done supplementals last year, if they do the same thing this year, are we not going to be close to 2.5, almost $3 billion then at the end of the spending for the year? Not to mention about other extra little gifts or loans or other, or if they, let's say we get blessed and the economy picks up a little bit somehow or another. We know right now we don't anticipate that could be the case. But let's say we just out of the blue, we get some miracle happen and we get blessed and we produce a little bit more this year than we did last year. It means then that the government will have a better economy and you have more taxes collected, more revenues in the consolidated funds or the treasury. Am I right? Or am I maybe I dey get too giddy because I dey paint too much of a nice rosy hope?
That's what it is.
The bottom line is that they would spend whatever extra they get regardless. Because the current budget, as much as it increased, you know, it's still not sufficient to do the things that they need to do. And they're not putting the money in the right locations to get the right results that the country need. That is our basic problem. It's management, misappropriation. Okay. I'm not even talking yet about the disappearance of funds from different departments or the embezzlement by employees or money that they charge at the customs that don't even get to go into the government coffers or any of the other departments. No, I'm not even addressing none of those. I'm just talking right off the top based on the planning and the budget presented. I don't hear no complaints yet about the small amount of money that is being reserved for some of these budgeted items. It's good that they remember to put something in for those line items, but those line items are not sufficiently accounted for, which then means that they're going to either have to come for supplemental, like I said earlier, or they're going to have to reduce the services that was supposed to have been given to the people, or they claim that they're not collecting any extra taxes. How is it then that if they're collecting, if everything that's being sold in the country, all the services by everybody in the country, the people them are collecting GST and other taxes. The fact that the government don't raise its taxes directly as they were trying to claim that they haven't done doesn't mean that the people aren't being taxed more than before, because if everything is costing more and people have to pay more, you also pay based on what you buy your taxes. So if you pay more and getting less and paying more taxes, the government is receiving the extra taxation. So it's just games they're playing when they talk about they're not increasing the taxes. They're increasing the cost of living, and by virtue of increasing the cost of living, and you as an individual pay out more for what you're trying to buy, more of what you're paying goes to tax. That is why the government is able to have a fatter budget or a bigger budget and still come back, like I said, for supplemental budgetary items after the fact, because they overspend and then they go back and try to clean it up. So as far as I'm concerned, when they're talking about the $2 billion for the budget, it's going to be more than $2 billion by the end of the budgetary period. But they don't mention that. And like I said, not even the opposition people are questioning the numbers that are being put in front of them. Why? Because, of course, they don't want to be embarrassed, because they are not economists. They're not real good mathematicians. They don't know how budgets are put together. And as a result, they just take what the PM and his office puts out. But like I said, last year when they read that budget that was delayed, remember last year before they had the election, they were supposed to have read the budget before the election, and they refused to read it until I think it was 2 months after the election. I think it was somewhere in May when they finally read the budget, May or June, when in fact the budget was supposed to have been read on the 1st of May. I mean, 1st of May, 1st of April, or ending of March. It didn't happen. And back then, if anybody wants to go and look on those shows that we did back then, I said that they were giving us a bogus budget and that the numbers were incorrect and that they will need more money. And what did they do? Every month that they go to the house, they were asking for extra money out of the consolidated funds, loans, and gifts that were being given to them, and extra money that people were sending, to try and help the economy. So it's not that these people don't know what's going on. They think that, we're all a bunch of, make a shut up and yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Leonard. This is an item that I talk about a lot, and it concerning because I watch the public goes to the hospital a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I watch what happens in real time. Um, you know, for many years now, Leonard, I know that we have a brigade of doctors from Cuba. In fact, from in the 70s, I remember
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
was in the police force, in the special forces and police special force, and we used to have a Cuban doctors from way back go and take care of us there too. They go there and then they
Mm-hmm.
be there from the be there from the Cuban doctors are assigned to the medical department there in the BDF, right?
Yes, sir.
And they keep multiplying, because the population get bigger and
Bigger and
bigger
bigger.
and bigger, and then so if they used to get 10 Cuban doctors a year, no, they will have to get 15 and 20 or 30. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it comes into to fully, the country's need,
And
the country's
some of our students go there and get educated too by some of those same doctors and
yes.
come back to Belize as doctors.
And then you have the Belizean doctors. It's a politics thing too, that gets the opportunity through whatever little channel they have,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's their father is a minister, or their father is a prime minister, or their uncle, or the whatever, the ones that
They get the preference.
get the
Preference.
preference, they're the
Mm-hmm.
one that goes away and come back, and these people, when they come back, Leonard, most of them go into private practice because that's where the money is at.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go, to serve the very same people that pays their tuition, pays their dues. They
Mm-hmm.
don't come and serve the taxpayers, and do their, give something back. They don't do that, right? Some does. The others, they go and they study and come back and they go back into the healthcare system here and give something back, right?
But
But it's
not too long ago, Mr. Chairman, we had a young lady that went and studied and became a doctor in Nicaragua, and they didn't want to give her her license in Belize. A Belizean,
yes, yes, yes.
Anyhow.
The reason, I had worked in some of the best healthcare facilities in Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have, I worked there. I see the great need, and the great need of a good healthcare system for Belizean people, which they are not getting. If they were getting a good healthcare, if they have been having good healthcare system, a
Prevent,
lot of people, yeah,
preventative.
yes, a lot of people wouldn't die, right? Because I see a lot of deaths here in the nation of Belize contribute to negligence, right?
And sometimes
And I
people
say
don't
that
have the money
word
to people don't have
because
the money to go and get the preemptive checkup
yes, sir,
and the
yes, sir,
extra services. They just don't have
yes,
it,
sir. I
and the
see the
system should.
deaths in the public hospitals. Most of them could have been avoided,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the negligence of the system, right? And from the top, because if the top does not provide the bottom with the basic things that they need to carry out the services for the people, how can they function? So Between that little movement there, people die, Leonard. Children
Mhm.
die.
Mhm.
Mothers die going to have give birth, right? I'm telling you, it's a nasty deal, Leonard, that the Belizean people gets by both two-party system. Nasty deal in terms of healthcare, Leonard. And it's so sad that these leaders, have families, have, that use, they in particular directly, they don't use the public healthcare system. And they go because the people provide for them, right? But one would say that, them, like, oh, my cousin, so and so and so, oh yeah, and this and so they would have put a little more interest, Leonard, in try to equip the healthcare, public healthcare system in the country, right? But they don't. And you know what? The reason why I say this, Leonard, is that it seems that this Briseño administration now seems that he's hell bent in having the Cuban doctors return, right?
He's under pressure. He's under pressure.
That's
He
what I
didn't
said
want. He didn't
initially,
want to
right?
do it. He didn't want to do it. But
So that hence the reason why I had even mentioned to say, when you have your hands out all the time and
mhm.
always begging and begging and begging, you will have to fall at some point. Because if you don't come true to what the person you are begging from, well, I'll give you, but this is what you have to do. So if you don't have the balls and the guts to stand up to that person and say, what, well, man, you know what, you could keep whatever you was going to give me, right? You could keep that, but this I will not do, right? But it's very hard for seems for this man Johnny Briseño and the People's United Party government to do. Very hard,
Mhm.
right? Should it be that way? Should the people, our nation suffers because of the ill will of these people? It's not fair. Just refuse to stand up for righteous, right? Just, I mean, so, you know, um, you willing to sacrifice your healthcare system because of a little pressure, because you want some money, and you are promised certain things, and you're not going to get it if you don't do what that person says. You're not going to get it. So you are that feeble with no backbone at all, just going to crumble to that person and just forget the needs of your people. So in that context, and I say, who
Oh,
and what will fill the void of these Cuban doctors? Take it away.
it's a just a second. Let me just save this stuff so I don't lose it. Um, in regards to the needs, the country is still going to need the services that the Cuban doctors are providing. You know. So now, are we going to get some grants from somewhere, or are we going to find or have some money from somewhere, or how are we going to replace those people? How are we going to provide the services that those people are giving us? And it's all over a malicious accusation that we are underpaying these people. You know, so because it is alleged that we are underpaying them, that we shouldn't have them on contract, or we shouldn't be dealing with them in the first place, which is what the problem is. They don't want us to deal with them, but they're providing a service to us that nobody else is willing to fill in and make up the difference. So what's going to happen to our population that needs these services and can't get it? Is it to be believed that tough luck, just suffer through? go ahead and die quickly? Is that the solution to such a problem? I don't think that's being fair. I yield back, sir.
Like I say, that is very concerning to me, and I demand answers, you know, as a taxpayer,
So, sir.
on a born Belizean. Right? I demand answer from the government, you know.
Well, they should
Be,
provide us with some answers.
yes,
Or just,
um,
I'm sorry. So go ahead, sir.
yes. Um, for me, I always says, Leonard, that these leaders, past and present, they don't give a damn about the people's healthcare system, right? They don't give a damn, and people get sick, Leonard. Every day you go to the hospitals, you see the amount of people they are waiting to see a doctor,
In line.
right? And waiting to get some medication that is not there. And these people have no shame, to stand up in the house and seen around the world, talking the way they talk. Um, this man, did away with so many millions of the taxpayers' dollars the other day for a plot of land to build a hospital, and and what came out of that, Leonard? Money is gone. Everything is has disappeared.
They don't even
Um,
talk about it anymore.
and not a brick nor a stone put up yet, right?
No.
So these people don't give a hoot about
And
you know
if they were going to use that site will require what you call remediation. And there's no remediation effort being done yet before they get to the point of needing to use the site. So that tells you that they don't have any intentions to carry through.
and none of them, Leonard, none of them have the balls or the guts to stand up in the house and speak truth to Belizean people.
Hmm.
They keep encouraging their leaders, their leader in the house, with these kinds of crimes against the people, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's so sad, nobody talks about these things. I guess we are the only one that talk about the way these people behave, right? You see, they talk about, it's this pitch, the UDP does it, the PUP does it, about free education.
Hmm.
That thing has been around for many many years. That word free education, right? And all lies, Leonard. Now you hear up to uniform they will get, and this and that, and there is no reason why that the parents should not send their children to school, their child to school, because everything is paid for, which is a blatant, outright damn lie again, right? This is how I say that. I don't got no other pretty way to say it, right? The UDP does it, right? The PUP does it, and they dazzle the people, the
Mr.
people's
Chairman,
eyes. Oh yeah, Mr. Morrison, glad to have you, my brother. Glad to have you.
good night,
Um,
Mr. Morrison.
our chairman, Mr. Morrison, didn't make it so far. Greg Brackett didn't. So we decided to talk about what's really going on. And if you listen up there, we were talking about
The budget,
the budget, and
the
then
education.
we talk about the healthcare, and the Cuban brigade, that they, well, it's public knowledge, it's in the news and all that, that they will be no more. And we were talking about that and who will replace them, and that. So let's hear, first of all, introduce yourself there, Mr. Morrison, and then let's hear your take on that, sir.
Yeah. Well, good evening, gentlemen. It's a pleasure
Good evening, sir.
being with you guys as usual. Thank you for the opportunity to come on board this evening. My name is Gregory Morrison, and I live here in California. But originally from Belize, I make up part of the wider diaspora of Belizeans living throughout this great globe. So thank you again.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
so Mr. Morrison,
We'd like you
you're
to,
widely, Mr. Morrison, you're widely known in Belize as well as in the states, as well as so many other parts of the world.
yes, Mr. Morrison, we'd
Yes,
like you to, state your concern. I just to let you know, I'm very passionate about the healthcare system. Because of the things that I see,
yes,
firsthand experience
yes,
in the public healthcare system here in Belize, and how depressing it is and on life support, and it
yes.
never changes. It just seems like it's getting worse and worse and
It seems to
worse,
be getting worse, and
right?
and there's a number of reasons why it's getting worse. We have the chronic um, issue of people not properly looking after their health in the first instance, not taking on that individual responsibility.
That too.
We have the great case of obesity and improper eating, diet, and stuff that definitely contributes to health situation. Then we
Su-
have
The
we
sugar,
have the, yeah, sugar. I love it too. I love it in every form. Um, and then we have the awful neglect of providing for it and addressing the situation truly with honor from our government. They just set up where the out districts private healthcare system will be able to get funding from the national healthcare system, and they're supposed to provide some care, but there's no guarantee that those care will be provided, and so the money will just be siphoned off, quite possibly. That is the aim, game, and the plan they have. And
I, I,
then
I think they're offering them each of them a million and a half, whether they provide service or not,
yes, yes, and we
just to be available.
yeah, you just think how outrageous that is. You just have to make a sham and say we're open for business, but when you come, or I make it impossible for you to qualify to come in, and when and they take $1.5 million, so much of our public funds that could be going into the public system is taken and siphoned off into private care.
It's
Um,
crazy,
so
man.
so it's just outrageous what they're doing, and people need to recognize that it is their money that's being
Looks like
they're
our chairman,
funging they're funging off of.
looks like
You
our
know,
chairman is in the background somewhere, Mr. Wade.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, well,
he will bring
yeah,
himself on when he's
yeah,
ready to.
yeah,
When
yeah,
he's able
he'll,
to.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
yes, sir.
So
Go,
so
go ahead,
so
Mr. Morrison.
But
so there's so many issues as it deals with just on the face of it, or the neglect and the abuse and the wanting needs for our healthcare to move forward. It needs, as I said, it needs to start on the people side. It needs to start on the government side. It needs to just be rounded out so that we can. And then I failed to mention one other thing that's contributing to it: the constant gang violence and the just
Hmm.
the deplorable conditions that is causing traffic accident, whether it's speeding, inattention, drunken driving, you know, all these things are affecting the welfare of the country and affecting the healthcare
The,
services.
the
Someone
mental
told me that
the
it's
mental
easier
health.
it's easier for somebody to get shot and die on the road than to go to the hospital, because it's going to cost the system $1 million to try to care for them, and who knows what condition they come back into. So there are lots of issues, and then we talked. I know, Mr. Wade, you spoke briefly about the miscarriage that government did with the funding for the property that they bought in Belmopan. That should have been a free option if they had utilized the more appropriate site, I believe, which would have been the University of Belize property, because it would have been in adjacency to the site, and there would have been more available land to be utilized at a future date. There'd be a chance to have greater development. They complained that there was costs associated with it, with
Yes, sir.
infrastructure development, but that would have been a
Yes,
cost.
sir. I want to welcome Mr. Morrison, our chairman for tonight, Mr. Gregory Brackett, and I pass the show over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. It's a pleasure to sit with you guys virtually. I know I have been missing in action, but apparently you guys know I was fighting some health issues. Not a war like in Iran, but I have recouped enough to where I am able to sit with you guys again and
Thank
discuss
God.
about things happening in Belize. I want to say good night to the Belizean people at home and abroad. It gives me great pleasure to sit and have these open conversations about what is happening in Belize. Gentlemen, I know you have started the show with some discussion, but I want to say I have looked at the budget and it's embarrassing when you as a government is trying to bloat it to make it look good. I have looked at it. One of the main things from the speech is NHI, and I can say this. I don't know if you guys have really looked at that because the proof is in the pudding. So for me, the NHI is really a misstated fact. I don't know what you guys feel about it. Our Prime Minister is talking about 325,000 people will be able to get it NHI. But I'm wondering if anyone is doing the math. That is what I'm wondering. I go back to you for a second, Mr. Weir.
Mr. Chairman and Leonard and Greg, Mr. Morrison, I have stated my take on that, Mr. Chairman. The NHI blow up, you know, it's a political ploy, and you know, this People's United Party is they are finding ways how to reward some of their people, right, over the country. First, it started, in Belize City, certain part of Belize City, then it moved certain part of Orange Walk. Now, election is coming now, and this government is in hot seat, and people, a lot of things happening with this government. So to let it look nice and for what the people want to hear, yes, NHI is gonna be covered around the country. People, around the country, the whole the country of Belize will be covered with NHI. Um, that's to show you how people gravitate to healthcare, right? Because people get sick, your children get sick, your family members get sick. So of course now we see, and oh yes, it's a beautiful, and not a beautiful idea, because then we don't have to go sit in the long lines. Yeah, that's true at the hospital, public, but this little office here we could go. That see that little office here and so street. That's not who provide NHI for you. You have a couple of people there, and then there you go there, my people, and you take your blood pressure, your temperature, and check, your breathing and all that, and give you a prescription. Go and buy this medication, right? That's NHI I'm talking about, or you know what? We can't deal with you here. You got to go to Carl Hirschner, right? They give you a little referral.
Mm-hmm.
The little flip is called a referral paper slip.
Mm-hmm.
So with that little, you go and you got to go sit in line at Carl Hirschner again. Maybe you don't get to see a doctor the same day. You come back the next day or the next 6 hours and 10 hours, and maybe you will see a doctor. And that's NHI, my people. It's all about the Briceño administration. She want to look good because people want to hear about their health care, and they blow it up like it's a nice package. But in reality, nothing nice in it. You are better off just go back to that public hospital that you've been going. Just go right there, because then there is where you're going to end up, from those little offices around the country. Okay, that has a big NHI sign. The only people that is profiting there is the doctor in there, or one of his friends and family, and the three people in that office that owns that building. They are the only people that's going to be profiting from the word NHI. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. Mr.
That's how I
Morrison,
see that.
Mr. Morrison, the protected amount of money for NHI is $57 million.
Yeah.
Let me hear your take on that.
I don't want to come down too hard on healthcare being accessible to the people in the rural areas, because they do need it. What we want to make sure is that if we are spending this money, that access and care is truly provided. That's what I want to know, and how the government is going to ensure that, and how are these billing going to be confirmed and justified, and make sure that there's not fraud in it. Because we know whenever we set up these systems, the government and the people of the country usually will be the ones that are cheapened on the end. So to me, that access is provided, that healthcare will be provided in those areas where currently we don't have a government facility. It's not a bad idea. What is bad and what we have not seen is a structure that makes the system accountable. And once we can identify that sort of regime and that setup, then I think we can determine whether it will work, and we'll really know in a very short time, because as you mentioned, Mr. Wade, people have needs for care, for health care. Every one of us gets sick at some point and sometime in our lives. And sometimes it's major, sometimes it's minor, but still we need the care of a doctor and a medical facility. So having that ability to get that service is not bad if the government cannot provide it, or the travel distance is so much for those people. But making it accountable and making sure that the system is not just a way to funnel money to their buddies and friends and family members and so forth is where we need to put the emphasis, and also to make sure that the care we're getting is equivalent and good, and will in fact be of help to those individuals. That's where I stand on it.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Mr. Brackett, I go to you for your intake
Thank you.
before I attack this political blunder that is for municipal election. I
Thank
will
you.
tell you point blank, it's a political blunder, and I
Thank
will
you.
prove it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My perspective is that the money that is now being made available for the so-called NHI, because NHI was supposed to have been intended as a
Could
way
mute,
for
could
the
mute
masses
your
of the
mic
people,
there, Mr. Chairman, please. Yeah, thank you.
to get additional or extra or better health care than had been provided or that they were that was available to them previously. The NHI is supposed to fill that gap so that people can get better health care. What I believe that they should have done with that money was to strengthen the tertiary hospitals then and the local clinics then. And if and when later on they could come up with some extra money, then they could expand into that other part of the program where other private groups will be able to render their services, get paid for their services, and those private groups, as of right now, more likely than not, will be making recommendations to the private hospitals rather than the NHI. So, in other words, the money that should have been available for NHI to support the local institutions is being divided now into different pools and made available for outside privateers to come in and use up the funds for services that they're not going to provide to the people. They're just going to be there to recommend, like, for example, the small offices that we were talking about earlier, where they're going to get a retainer fee of about $1.5 million for these different doctors to go and open up their own private hospitals or private clinics. And then they're going to have people come in there, scheduled to come in there. They're going to see these people. They won't have a medical dispensary or a clinic or anything like that that will give these people physical medical attention. Most of these small organizations don't have that capacity. And they will probably just write a little note for them to go and get a Tylenol, depending if the people have a leaf fever or something like that, get a little Tylenol or some other little minor stuff. But if they find out that these people have high blood pressure or heart problem or any other kind of problem or anything that they can't figure out themselves, they want to refer them, give them a note and refer them right back to KHMH, or more likely than not, to the private hospital. So there will be a gateway to provide clients to the private hospital, and the NHA money will be used up because there's only so much of it they have available. Then we'll still have the regular hospitals and clinics being short of the money that they need to have in order to buy their equipment, materials, pay employees, and do everything that they have to do to stay alive and stay. And then the private hospitals, they won't have one streamline of clients. Now, as Mr. Morrison said, the idea of the people getting the services is the more important part of the whole scheme, but not to the people who are getting the money. They are scheming the system to hustle the money that should be available there for the people to get their services. And people will just be spinning around in circles.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett. I want to say this.
Mr. Chairman, just
You're
before
welcome,
you,
sir.
I have someone tell Mr. Morris. Can I give me a minute? Can I get a minute, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Morrison, around the country of Belize, we already have you mentioned rural area. We already have healthcare little healthcare clinics here that there's a healthcare nurse there that assigned,
And the
and in some
regional
of the
hospital. Regional hospitals.
and in some of the villages, Mr. Mercy, you have a Cuban doctor. You have doctors that
Private
So
doctors.
just for you, I'm talking about the rural areas because you mentioned rural, right? Good.
Yes.
We already have that.
Yeah. Well, I agree
so-
with you, but I was thinking more that, with what's going on with the political issues with the doctors, those doctors may soon be leaving and not be
Yes,
part
sir.
of our system. So that
Yes,
was
sir.
my concern, and that's why I said I didn't have an issue in specific with it. What I have an issue with is the administration of it, and make sure that the system is not going to be seen a scheme to defraud the citizens and to keep them hopeful and not to provide the care they need.
Amen.
Adequate service for the funding
Back to you, Mr.
available.
Chairman. Thank you for that minute there.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. I want to say this when it comes to NHI for the Belizean people. I call this a political blunder because this is being done just before the municipal election. And I will say this, What happened to the tertiary hospital in Belmopan? What happened to the polyclinic on the south side? How much of these structures have been built? Now, as we can see, the Cuban brigade is leaving. So where will the doctors come from, or the qualifying nurses for what the government is putting out there? Because I want to show you, the people at home and abroad, what makes this a political blunder. Because I will say this to you, as Mr. Wade has said, you are better off just going to a polyclinic and paying for yourself. You know why? Guys, people at home and abroad, get your calculator and do the math. 325,000 into 57 million is $175 per year for healthcare, which comes down to $14 a month per people. Now tell me, what kind of healthcare will that do? $14 a month. Get your calculator and
It's
do the math.
bogus. It's a bogus outcome. They're selling us
Anyone
pipe
living in
dream.
Belize knows that when you seek help, the cost is way above $14 a month, or $175 per annum. So where is the present government getting these facts to push out there? As I said, political blunder. So let's call it what it is. Anybody wants to prove me wrong?
And Mr.
Get the
Chairman,
calculator and do it. Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chairman,
Mr. Brackett.
the amount of dollars that they have available for the NHI and the amount of people that they are saying potentially could use it, 300 and whatever thousand, it's going to be more than that, because in the country of Belize, we have, they keep repeating this old time number based on outdated information and incorrect information at that, which I keep repeating and debating or pointing out over and over as well. That is that we have more than 420,000 people as they are claiming and using as their baseline. We have close between 550 to 600,000 people. And if everybody can become eligible, because it the system will have to work out that not care whether you're a citizen or you're just a green nationalized person or whatever. So long as you're sick within the boundaries of Belize, you have to be afforded medical attention. Otherwise, you're going to contaminate and make everybody else get sick, and the whole country going to fall apart. So if their number, if when you calculate that number, you came up with $14 for the whole year, which is crazy anyhow to start with. Suppose you make that same calculation instead of 300,000, you do it with 600,000. It means that you cut that in a two. You end up with $7 per person available. What kind of services can you get out of the government hospital at $7 per individual per year? Much less private hospital that will be sucking up all that money, and the private clinics them that will be paid $100 million out of that original total. When you put all these numbers and these variables together, we are taken for a ride. And the man at the top so much about this Bolido money and the this other money and the other money, but you're not dealing with the reality. That is that people are suffering and dying in the hospitals for lack of proper services. Stop playing games, man.
But it goes beyond that, gentlemen, and people at home and abroad, because we are still not seeing the underlying cost, which will be from medication, which will be to pay these doctors or nurses that they are not telling you about. So it means they will
It's a
come back
sham. It's a
with
sham.
adding supplementary bills to the house
And
to
nothing
try
should be
to facilitate it.
and nothing should be wrong with that, Mr. Chairman, if they have to come back for more money. Because they don't need more money as it is point out right now, the money that they are budgeting for this thing that they are claiming that is the pie in the sky is not enough. So when they come back, their budget, they are come back
But
and say, okay,
what
well, they need
I'm
more.
saying, Mr. Brackett, is if you say 57 million, you
Uh-huh.
are not doing the math because then you are misleading the public when you put out that figure that will only come down to $14 a month or $175 a year. Because what will happen, it will balloon beyond that. So the budget you are putting out there is not genuine. It's fake. And they keep doing this. When you do a budget, you're supposed to come with transparency. You're supposed to come with figures that you have in separation for doctor, patient, medication, and show this to the public.
But
But
before
when
the,
you come with a balloon figure that cannot cover what you are trying to do,
Mhm.
then you're not being truthful.
Mr. Chairman, what they need to do is do a cost benefit analysis first and foremost, and they have to have as a baseline the cost for the existing institution that they'll be able to take out that amount from the $50 million that you're saying that is being allocated for the whole medical system. You have to take out these other parts, and then you figure out what you can provide, how much it's going to cost, and then you develop your budget on that basis. But you just can't arbitrarily say, okay, well, I'm going to have a line item there for the total medical situation for $50 million, right? Or let's call it a rounded figure, $60 million. And then you promise all these different pie in the skies, and the budget for $60 million can't cover $150 million worth of services that is actually required. It just doesn't square. And that's why you're saying, and correctly so, that they're putting out a bogus number, and they're saying something that sounds good to people, to the uninformed individuals. And most of all people in the country at 68% poverty are very much uninformed when it comes to these kind of discussions, understanding how they hear this number, and it sounds big, and it sounds to them like they'll be able to get some real serious care. How can you get any good care out of $7 a year? It just doesn't square. Stop lying to the people. Stop playing games with people's lives. Put the money where it belongs, or allocate more money from somewhere else that is not as critical as your health and well-being.
Mr. Brackett,
Yes, sir.
this budget is one that is being put out there, as I say, a front for election.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you why. Because when you listen to these ministers speak, and the narrative sounds good, when you personally look at the underlying effect, you will find personally where the political blunder comes in the form of narrative. Here is another one. I go to the theater.
Every single student in this country attending a government secondary school is going to school free of cost under this government. Every single student, 100%. No letter for nobody. Just show up. And it's not just about free tuition. They could tell you I get vexed when anybody call it free tuition. Because it's bigger than free tuition. It's better than free tuition. It's a comprehensive package. I said to the parents, I say this all the time to them when I visit the schools, I don't want to hear no excuse from you why your child is not in high school. No excuses. You have no excuse. We pay the tuition. We give you your uniform. We give you your tennis if you need tennis and shoes. We give you that. If your child You don't have the money to feed your child. When they go to school, they get a healthy meal at school. We give them the digital device that they need to use at school. Every single one of these students, Prime Minister, who is in this program, have a digital device. We told you about the Connect. The school have the Wi-Fi. Everybody has Wi-Fi at the school. We are providing transportation, as I said earlier. So you can't say, oh, I live too far. I live in this rural community, so I can't send my child to Georgetown Tech or whatever. No excuses. We are providing the transportation as well so that your child can get to school.
People at home and abroad, and gentlemen, another political blunder. I'm not afraid to call it out, and I will say why. What is the role of government? The role of government externally is to protect its territory. Internally, to get with private sectors and create jobs so the people of Belize can work and they can take care of their children. Added on to that, to bring peace and harmony in the community that they still can't do up to today. No, the question is, why are we still in this designer system being proven by the Minister of Education through hands-out? Because what he's speaking about is the government giving hands-out instead of playing its role to create jobs so these people can work, these mothers and fathers can work and take care of their own responsibility. I go to you first, Mr. Morrison.
I think your mic is off, Mr. Morrison.
I want to step back a little bit first into the healthcare issue. I do believe, as I said, that there is a role to make sure that healthcare is available. The responsibility then is to make sure that whatever funding government is doing is honest. That the money they are transferring to the private medical facilities will be well spent and that it will provide the true and just and needed care for our citizens. And they can do that by making sure that the system is monitored, to making sure that the people have access and that there's no barrier to access the system and the care they need. So with that, I believe while you guys are focusing on the cost and the funding of it, I think it's a good start. But and it's all money. But we want to make sure that it is justly spent, that we're getting the bang for the buck that we're spending. So if we're spending 57 million, then let's make sure that care is provided and the wellness and well-being of our citizens is assured and that there's benefit to them from that service that we'll be paying for. I know you mentioned about the amount, but not everybody gets sick. There's 320 people potentially could be covered under the system or will have access. The other systems don't go away. The other services that provide care, the other regional hospital, the polyclinics, those don't go away. The funding that people personally spend out of their pocket for care doesn't go away. The insurance companies that pay for employees' health care doesn't go away. The funding that people get through their social security coverage, those type of things doesn't go away. So I think the money is there. The money is definitely there. How they utilize it and how it actually translates into better health is part of what we need to keep focus on. The 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 government has its role, and let's hold them accountable to what they're saying they will provide, to first ensure that that money is properly um, accounted for, that there's transparency in how these people are going to be doing their billing, and that there's auditing of the services that's being provided to our citizens. That, I believe, is where we should be focusing. I don't think tearing it down or holding them accountable is important. That is where we need to focus. Uh,
Mr. Morrison, if I can say this to you, sir, 57 million is in the budget that we speak about. What happened to millions from the Bolivar money that we have already put out there to do any flag?
repurposed.
well. I don't know. I don't have the audit on the Bolita money. I know they've been talking that they've been getting considerably more since they took it over from the UDP people that were running it, and it was so mismanaged and so run array under that administration. There's still opportunity for that to be happening now, but we know that it's getting tenfolds more than what it was getting before. So we have to recognize where improvement is. Is it improvement enough? Is it full accountability? Is it full transparency? Is there still fraud within the system? That we don't know for sure, but we need to hold it to the light of day and keep asking those tough questions that you're talking about.
Mr. Morrison, I hate to answer that for you. How much ambulance has the government bought that
None.
that people died not making it to the hospital because they couldn't pay $20?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure people die, and people die in not making it to the hospital, even in very rich countries, because the ambulance got stuck at a light, or it didn't
That
arrive fast
that
enough.
might
They
be
didn't
true,
call.
Mr. Morrison. But
All those things are going to happen.
specifically speaking, that taxpayers' money and ambulance should be for the people free of charge. I go back to you, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm not, nothing is free. I am compelled to repeat that we are paying for it. And I believe that we should let people pay on a scale of affordability. I do not like the idea of when we speak of free, because even in education that we were talking about, I believe in the effort that, and and we'll see that, because not everybody will send their children to public school. Some people send their children to private school and choose to make that payment. What the concern we have and the issue is that we want to make sure that all the children can attend a school, a high school, a trade school. What we don't have, while there's all that talk of going free, is seats for all of our children. There's a deficit of seats. If we look at it, I don't remember what the number is, but there's a considerably lesser number of high school spaces, classroom spaces for students than the available population. So when the minister of education says that he nobody has an excuse to not go, those are the people that are already within the system and choose not to go. But there are some people, there's some children that are completely locked out of the classroom because there's only 800 spots at that school, and the other one only have 500, and there's another 600 or 1,000 students that does not have a place within that school system to attend classes. So those are the things. So it is while the gesture of making education free and providing the resources and providing uniform and all those wonderful things, I like to have, and I think you mentioned it a little bit, Mr. Wade, that there's a responsibility to the citizens and to the community. You and I went to high school, and it was not free, and our parents made the sacrifice of getting us our tennis shoes. They made the sacrifice of getting us our books. They made the sacrifice of paying our tuition. Yes, they had jobs, and that's where the role of government is to make sure that they create the environment where business can thrive, where we can have more entrepreneurial development,
And
where
that is
taxes
and that
are
is precisely the point of the chairman when he mentioned that the government's job or responsibility is certain things, and he enumerated them.
yes,
So
yes,
you're
and
both on the
I'm
same page as far as that point is
yeah,
concerned.
yeah. I'm just pointing those out in addition to what the
Mm,
chairman said. So
mm.
so make the role of government is to make sure that they facilitate the environment where businesses can develop, where entrepreneur can be successful. And then in that, because right now I think the prime minister had mentioned that there's like 16,000 citizens currently on government dole that is working for the government in some form or the other. And there's so much issues right now with just the payroll plus all the pension scheme, and I know that there's always a constant fight about whether those individuals should be contributing to the fund to ensure that there's money, and because it's unsustainable for government. So all these things are part of the pie that we need to look at in trying to make sure that we have proper fiscal management and stability within our society, and that we have growth and development as far as government and the people can benefit from what's available in terms of resources. I read back to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brackett.
I'd like to say that the government has a responsibility as mandated by the Constitution. If you look in the preamble, it's there. If you look in the Constitution citations proper, it's there as well. So all it takes is for the government of the day to be focused on running the country on behalf of the people of the country, rather than on behalf of themselves and the people who elect them. That is because most of these politicians that we have in our country that has been proved, based on their track record from independence till now, is that once they get elected, they go and look after themselves first and foremost, their family, secondly, their friends and other colleagues, and then they look after the people that support them, their supporters. They don't worry about the other party that lost. They don't worry about the other party's followers that lost. They don't worry about the other party's, whatever. Once you become, they have to, people that go into government have to understand that once you become the government, you're the government of all the people. You're the government of the country. And your job is supposed to be to look after the well-being of the people as a whole, the country as a whole, and try to enhance and improve and make better the country itself. But these rascals that we have, they go in there with the intent of how much they can, hustle. It's all a big hustle for them. How much they can hustle, how much they can have their friends get and hustle for them, how much kickback they can get from direct or indirect operations or business that they get involved with on the side. They facilitate the powers of governance to private entrepreneurs who are some of their own bodies. And that money doesn't go into the coffers when they give them all these 10 and 15 and 20 and 25 years concession. It goes into their pocket on the side. And that's a failure of the government working on behalf of the people. That's our problem. And until we could solve those problems or have honest enough people that do more of that, rather than, because if these guys would do less hustling, we're not telling them to stop. Let's say if they do less than what they're doing right now, the difference would be accrued more positively to the rest of the country. That's all I'm trying to say. Do a little bit better than you're doing currently, and the country will be much better off for so doing. I'm not telling them to stop, because any part of the world you go and you have anything that constitutes a government, you will find one or two rascals that are, doing something that's not proper. That's just a human behavior. I don't know. But the bottom line is we need to have people who are interested in looking after the governance affairs of the country and how it's supposed to be done. Not to suborn the governance powers of the country for rascal behavior and then turn around and be um, scofflaws and hide behind the powers that they claim that they are entitled to exercise. And they exercise those powers with, with a vengeance, with impunity and with disregard and disdain. I wish some of them would go to jail, and maybe the others will think twice. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
No, he's on the phone. But anyway, my take on that speech from the Mr. Fonseca, the education guy, the second time around, because he had played that role before. Guys, I have heard that speech, that very same line for many, 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 many years, from Faber to Fonseca to Musa to Recania to I've heard that very same speech about free education. And that very same speech was mentioned by the very same guy, right? And did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
Did not happen. You talk about, because I have relatives and friends and things, in the Bedouin area, and then they say, you know what, the man, my daughter hasn't gotten a free uniform. He haven't gotten a free laptop or the whatever device they talk about. No free meal, no transportation, no. But you hear the man says all for all.
Maybe he's proposing, right? And he wants us to believe that what he's proposing has been the standard before.
So that's the thing, these people, like the chairman says, it's election time.
Double time.
And every time, this very same speech is mentioned, and it's only verbal, nothing in essence. They always talk about and they fuzzy the parents' mind, and like they're doing something great for the time of memorial, and as 2026, it's the same line item I'm hearing, right? So it's so sad to see how these people operate, and playing on the sentiments of the parents, playing on the sentiments of the poor people, that yes, like they have good intention, and it is what they are going to do, which in fact never happened, right? Mm-hmm. It's so sad. And then it's what makes it sadder is that, money has been appropriated for this very same thing that they are talking about, that they are going to do. Money is there.
And the money is gone.
And at the time I look around, the money is gone. And then the next budget, you hear the same crap again that comes out of their mouth. This very same guy, this Fonseca guy, I heard him with this same line item 3 times already. Or maybe it's only Roody Wade heard him with that same line item. So sad how these people behave, So, Mr. Chairman, notice what I got to say. I've heard that rumbling. I've heard that venom already came out of the UDP mouth and the PUP mouth on several occasions. So that is what I got to say. It's so sad because I talk to parents and I regularly and they stress the burden they have, the lots of hardship they have in terms of sending their child to school. And here you have this fool here again talking about free, right? It's so sad, and the thing, they use the word every. That's so sad. Every. See, they got to check themselves, I don't say they don't get it, Mr. Chairman and guys. Maybe a few of them, selected few. The same way when the PUP is in power, they walk around and take all the goodies to because they pass my street sometimes and they go to the PUP supporter and they go to this and they miss all the rest of taxpayers. right? But they go to specific house and give the little goodies, the little crumbs. Same thing with the UDP, right? So it's so sad to see how these people operate. You know, you watch them and say sad, sad situation.
Mr. Wade, I have said it before, a designer system we're living in only works when the people in power keep it that way. And that is what is happening. Because when you revert to giving handouts, free education, they have lunches at school, free uniform and all that, you are saying then that you are unable to create jobs for the people in this country.
And
let's
another
just
thing,
be
Mr. Chairman,
frank.
not your coach, because this really gets to me. Do you know, guys, for a parent to get their child report card, they got to pay a fee to the principal of that school to get that report card.
That should be illegal.
And here you have this fool talking about free education. See why I say things? Because this is what actual happens. Parents have to pay a fee. Most parents, and because you have some that are politically connected, do not have to pay that fee. But the poor and less fortunate that does not have that little string to pull have to pay a fee before that report card is given to that parent for his or her child.
Or sometimes what they do is the politically connected ones go to the minister, and the minister picks up the phone and calls certain persons,
That's what I'm saying.
and they give them one pass, right? They don't have to give them the money cash, right? But
Gentlemen, let's call it what it is. You want to teach me to fishing, but you don't want to supply the line, the hook, or the bait, or the rod and reel. You want to give me the fishes in my hand, and that's how you are teaching me to fishing. Because that is what is happening here. If you are not creating the jobs, past and present governments have never created long-term jobs.
Never.
The present government is calling the BPO as creation. As you see, they have even labeled them as essential services.
But even when people come out of school, they don't have no jobs or nowhere to go. Even if they get the education, like you said, because the government is not doing its part to create the job or the environment for the jobs to be created.
It goes beyond that. Because here we have a minister talking about free education and all they are giving out. But he is not speaking about the salaries of the teacher who is supposed to supply those education, who for years has faithfully nurtured these students, paid from their own wages to
Hmm.
help them. And that is why the budget is a political blunder. Let's go to the next step. And I will only run these because I want to show and tell in reality what is happening.
I noted that the leader of opposition did support what we are doing in this budget, which is that we're spending $780 million on salaries and pensions for teachers and public officers without having to borrow $1 million a day. That's what we're doing. And we give pay raise, and I'm sorry to disappoint them on the other side. We start no war, We didn't start COVID. We don't cause hurricanes and droughts. As much as you blame the rain and the storm and the heat and the drought and everything else under the sun on us, we don't cause inflation. That's imported. We don't cause higher prices. That's inflicted. We have not raised taxes. We've not done any of those things. What we have done, though, we've provided free education like never before.
People at home and abroad and gentlemen, would you believe that? The
They don't
government
raise.
has not raised taxes.
How come
Is
they
that a
collect?
political blunder?
How come they're collecting so much more taxes now than if they didn't raise it? Because they raise the price of gas and everything else goes up as a result. And therefore, when the merchants can collect more GST or they collect more taxes or whatever, all those taxes are supposed to go to the government. So they might not have raised the taxes directly, but they force it to be raised indirectly. It creates a higher cost of living for people, and people could stretch their money less, and as a result, they suffer. They become more impoverished, and they
Let's
suffer more.
let's put truth to fact here. The deputy prime minister has said what they did not cause, inflation. They did not cause the war. But what is he not saying in reality when it comes to Belize and Belizean assets? They are the cause of foreign investors taking over Belizean assets. They are the cause of why taxes are high because of all that they give away to foreign investors and then come back to the people to try to make it up.
If they were collecting those taxes, we would have those taxes to further the country's development and pressure the people less.
With that said, I go to you, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brackett. When we talk about the education system and we talk about where we sit or stand with it and the high schools and stuff, when we just look to having our graduates come out of school and looking for a job, it tells us that the system is failing.
Mm.
The system should be preparing them to be entrepreneurs, to go out and look for a need in the society and to organize themselves to satisfy that need. There are lots of needs in Belize, lots of businesses that could be developed, lots of skills that could be marketed. But our system is so structured to just train us to go out and look for a job. I have 5 GCs, 10 Gs or CXCs or however they refer to it, and and please hire me. We need to make sure we change the entire paradigm of the structure of how our education system is so that we prepare our people to provide some type of service so that they can adapt to a trade, get into a trade. They can develop themselves into providing some type of service directly, organize themselves in that manner. That
That is
is what
being done selectively, though, sir, and that's the
of course
problem.
it is being done, but
Selectively.
I'm saying we're not training or the focus of our
Mhm.
educational system is not on training us to do those type of endeavors. That's the problem. So we need to organize our educational system and restructure it so that it allows it to teach our young people to go out and instead of looking for a job, to create a job for themselves or some of the other fellow brothers what is needed. The government cannot be hiring more and more people. They need to probably find a way to lose 3 or 4 thousand people off their current payroll to be manageable and to bring about some fiscal sanity to the fact that $800 million is being spent on payroll for government employees, and a lot of that also is probably wasted in many ways. So that
Lower your mic there, Greg, please. Chairman.
thank you. Yeah. So a lot of the things that could be done to make sure that our country gets on an even heel needs to be addressed by the government, either through its taxing policies and the educational approach we take with our students. And those are incentives that could work. They could make a difference in how we educate and how we encourage businesses to take that risk of developing. We have no problem giving um, incentives and all type of giveaway to foreign businesses. It's time to start looking at the little man, to start looking at how we can help the small guy in Belize create and become a business owner.
But
And
they're unwilling to listen to advice, Mr. Morrison. That's the part of the problem that all
I
governments
can
have.
only offer it,
They're,
Mr. Brackett.
huh?
I can only offer it.
Yes, but I'm saying that these people are not the kind of people that are receptive to advice. If it's not something that they paid for, they don't want to hear it.
Gentlemen, as I said before, the designer system is designed for political parties to win elections.
Hmm.
If you preach education and kids staying in school, where is the light at the end of the tunnel? And you said it right, Mr. Morrison. There are no jobs. In fact, they are preaching education while teachers are leaving as an educator and going to the BPO that is paying more than the salary they receive for teaching.
Well,
You
they're
have
taking away the
you
teacher's
have
salary too.
you have people graduating from university with business administration goes into the BPO because that is the best paying thing. So, as I said before, the government has failed to get with private sector and create long-term jobs. And it will continue to happen. And there are prime examples because for one, if I was running this country, I would take away the financial money from the prime minister and I would create a separate entity to handle that. And I will tell you why. The whole Redeemer Credit Union is being run better than how the government of Belize is running its funds. The whole Redeemer Credit Union is given a better percentage and better benefits if you die than Social Security. So why are people paying into that? It makes no sense, you know?
Social Security is a scheme, sir, but it's more of a scam than a scheme because they collect your money, and when you have the needs and need to qualify to receive back some of your money because you need your benefits, they fight hard enough to disqualify you from getting your benefits than they fight to be able to afford you the benefits that you are paying into
That's so
because they take
true.
the money and they lend it out
True.
in millions of dollars tranches. And then when it's time for them to have cash flow to afford to pay you and whoever else needs their money, they don't have the cash flow and therefore they don't want to be put in a bind, so they disqualify you. It's by design, as you said. It's not an error, it's not an omission, it's not an oversight. It's by design.
Now, Mr. Brackett and people at
I give
home
it
and
all that.
abroad, the government once asked the question, where can they get extra money from? I can tell them right now. Park all government vehicle. You will save gas and money.
But Mr. Chairman, we had a show on that particular point before, and we pointed out to them where
Exactly.
they could have gotten a lot of money from different sources, money from those GST that is being collected from the general public, that is not totally being paid into the government coffers. Okay,
Yes, we
I
did, Mr. Brackett.
mean, we went on the whole detail of those things.
And I also want to say this. We here in Belizean Affairs I spoke about this case with this 13-year-old who took the government to court and won, and the government had to pay. So again, that's a loss under the state of
Waste of money.
emergency. And they will keep losing. They will lose all these cases. Mr. Wade, I go to you for 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's always a pleasure, and we are way ahead of out of time. I mean, we're way beyond. It's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Morrison. Thank you for bracing us tonight, and Leonard, it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, sir.
The pleasure
And
is mine too,
I
Mr.
just hope that
Yeah.
I'll leave the Belizean people with this. I just hope that you open your eyes, open your ears, and it's far noon. It's way overdue that you see these people that you continue to elect over and over and over. You don't elect them, you're going to elect their son and this family member and that for that same individual family. That dynasty, repetitious cycle. The two-party system. You continue to see how they behave. You continue to see publicly, their intentions never change. And as for this last budget, again, nothing is in it for me. I don't see anything in it for the Belizean people, the poor and less fortunate. What's in it is for big corporation and Ashcroft to get more money, and their little groups get more money. But in the real sense, the Belizean people, the poor and less fortunate, gets nothing at the end of the day. It's so sad that these people seems to don't want to change. And for me, only the people can save the people. So you know, um, for those who watch our program tonight, thank you. Um, and it's always a pleasure to sit in a company again with these three great gentlemen. Back to you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Mr. Wade. I go to you, Mr. Brackett. 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I would like to say that the budget is bigger than their previous budgets. And therefore, I would like to believe that there should be some extra money in that budget to do some of the things that are not being done currently or had not been done before. I know they're going to get some supplemental later on as well, so which means then that the budget is going to go over $2.5 billion, plus or minus a few million here and there. And I don't see any reason why, as happy as they are to have a bigger budget now, and claiming that they're going to do all these different things that they keep promising all the time and they don't do, I don't see why they couldn't do a little bit more than they are doing just right now. They should be able to do a little better. And that's all I'm expecting or asking of them. Do a little better. I'm not asking any of these guys to stop being scoundrels, stop hustle. I'm not asking them to I mean, at the end of the day, hyenas are going to be hyenas, jackals are going to be jackals, vipers are going to be vipers, vampires are going to be vampires, and whatever else not. The whole kingdom of animals, we all come in different shape, size, and interest or motivation. But at the end of the day, I believe that these guys are smart enough, capable enough to give the country a little better results than they're currently doing. And that's all I'm asking of them. Do a little better.
2 minutes, Mr. Morrison.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brackett. You know, we keep saying what we need are people that will respect our laws, that will, in terms of government, people that will do right by the people, virtuous people, people that will consider the welfare of the nation and the citizens as part of the entire scheme of how the well-being of the nation is to be developed. People of goodwill. Those are what we
Mhm.
are looking for. And like you said, Mr. Brackett, we don't need all of them to be that way. We just need a good sizable amount to make that impression and start imposing those goodwill upon our people so that they're not squandering our money, so they're not sniping it off. And we heard the Prime Minister's speech, $1.947 billion. Yeah, it's a lot of money. I remember when I was in Belize. I think the budget I heard
Four,
was 66
400 and
was
something
sixty
million
six
dollars.
was $66 million. It tells
Oh,
you
that's
how
way back. That's way back.
how long I've been listening to it. And we know that within that budget, the government has been putting aside some money. I think they have this year allocated like $23 million for emergencies such as hurricanes, storms, fires, that type of stuff. We hope we don't need that, and we hope that they will, in fact, then not squander it and will find some noble and just cause, for it. And we hope for good governance. We hope that they will do what is right for the people so that we could come from under this cloud of oppression and desperate need and neglect. And if they were to manage the budget, if they were to um, discipline themselves so that so much of our funds doesn't get either uncollected through whatever scheming they're doing and dealing they're doing, or not get defrauded directly through so many inappropriate
Repurposed.
ways, so many
Repur-
inappropriate ways, the custom scheme that goes on, the land scheme that goes on where they take land and sell it multiple times and then having to go back and pay for it. All these
Mhm.
things. There's so much that could be done to bring about efficiency in the government and make sure that some of those necessary things can be dealt with. We have a desperate gun issue that's killing our young black men in particular, and families are suffering. And we need the government to hear this cry, and they need to make the appropriate actions, which is, of course, some of it will be policing, but a great part of it will be providing for the education and the social well-being of these young people so that they can develop themselves into proper and upright citizens that can be part of the contributing sector of the economy of the country. So with that, I yield my time.
we, we, we
Thank,
know what the gun problem is, and that's easy to be solved.
thank you,
It's just
Mr.
a matter
Morrison,
of
Mr. Brackett.
goodwill. Yes, sir. No, I'm saying we know what the gun problem is to Mr. Morrison's last comment, and we should be able to solve it. But the problem is that they don't want to solve it because when the Reds are in, then take care of their red guns and exculpate them for misbehavior. When the blue are in, they take care of their blue guns and exculpate them because they need those street muscles. So they stay in good grace with these gangs and allow these gangs to fester, and these gangs eventually turn and metastasize in the society and have this attitude that, well, nobody can touch them because they're my party, they know. We know what the problem is. Just deal with it. And until we get
Mr.
there,
Brackett,
we're just wasting our time going
we
around the
cannot
circle.
move forward unless we can cross the color line, and the people of Belize does not see that. But I want to leave the people at home and abroad and you guys with this thought. Our government says this budget is for NHI and to help with the health of the people of the village. I say to them, start building the hospital, start building the polyclinic, start staffing them with professional people, and prove me wrong. The
Mr.
government
Chairman,
says
that
that
hospital will not be built anymore again because the Saudis and the Kuwaitis and all those people are going through major crisis right now, and that situation that they are in is not going to cease at least for a few years down the line before they get back to where they can afford to start giving out money like they were giving before because they got to rebuild their country. So we may never see that hospital, but the money was spent to buy that piece of dirty land. Conveniently, because they needed to have part of that money for their political campaigning in the Corozal
regardless,
area.
Mr. Brackett,
Okay?
I'm speaking right now specifically about the budget. The Minister of Education speaks about education. I want to say to him, you speak about what you are giving to these students, but you are not telling the public about how much schools have been built, equipped to facilitate these students. These are the things that we don't know about, the underlying effects that are not being talked about. I
Mr.
want
Chairman,
to say
what I'm Mr. Uh, weird peeves is that the hurricane season is about to start in the next couple of months, and these guys have not dealt with the same issue that we have been saying over and over and over. Those where the people in the villages and so on need their communities and have to go take refuge. All they have to do is put a few more zincs on the place and repair them or do what and prepare them for people to use.
that will not make it adequate, Mr. Brackett. We've been down this road. I want to say to the present government, prove me wrong. I hope that this does not turn out to be Superbond number two because it's heading that way. Because when you get into government, all that happens under your government is public-private, private-public, and nationalization. With that, I go to you for the closing, Mr. Will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it's a pleasure sit with you guys. Hope that our program tonight of some benefit, and we went over the time for, we haven't done that in a very very long time. Interesting topic. Mr. Morrison, you said some very nice points there. I just hope that Leonard, very nice point, Mr. Chairman. I just hope that somebody out there grab it, listening, and like tell Mr. Brisenia, you know what then guys talk about on Belizean affairs, this is when they talk about, man. So spread the
We do
love, right?
we hustling about them misbehavior, but we also provide solutions.
Yes, sir, right. So I just hope that this is another one of those programs that he will get to hear by in the morning. And that note, thank you guys. Always a pleasure. And to our viewers and listeners, thank you for always, supporting and sharing our program. Thank you very much and good night.
Thank you,
Good night.
Mr. Will. With that said, good night to you, the people at home and abroad.